Analysis U.S. mass capturing coverage quotes bounce as incidents upward thrust the price of buying coverage protection towards mass shootings has spiked extra than 10% in the United States this 12 months following a string of deadly occasions, insurers said. The United States witnessed 293 mass shootings so far this 12 months, in line with a file through the Gun Violence Archive, them as any occasion involving the shooting of 4 or more human beings other than the assailant. That compares with 309 the identical duration final year, however is sharply up from 240 in 2020. Demand for such insurance has risen following latest shootings, along with the murder of 19 kids and 2 instructors at a Texas Simple Faculty remaining month, the United States' worst school shooting in nearly a decade. Active shooter coverage usually covers sufferer court cases, building upkeep, legal expenses, clinical charges and trauma counseling. The quantity of inquiries we have been receiving over the previous couple of weeks have certainly spiked. We haven't been as busy as this ever earlier than, mentioned Chris Parker, head of political violence and deadly weapons protection at Lloyd's of London insurer Beazley. Parker mentioned the insurer had seen a 25% jump in sales up to now this year for its deadly weapon coverage, with a 3,035% soar in inquiries and a 10%-15% increase in costs, driven by using the growing variety and severity of gun attacks. He mentioned customers were now buying coverage to cover themselves for $510 million in losses, compared to $13 million 4 years in the past. Policyholders typically will pay tens of lots of bucks for $1 million in insurance. Beazley's clients include faculties, municipalities, homes of worship, bars and restaurants. Other customers include organizers of activities including marathons, rodeos, livestock shows, live shows, 4th of July events and pride marches. Beazley is considered one of the biggest players in the space alongside other Lloyd's of London insurers, Assets said. There has been an uptick in violent attacks at hospitals and healthcare institutions as households of folks that misplaced their lives to the pandemic look for an individual to blame, insurers said. Inflation is also visible as a motive force of violent acts because the price of residing rises. Chris Kirby, NYSE, KEX, head of political violence coverage at insurer Optio, said call for the coverage generally rises after main assaults. This was the case September 11, and became the equal following the rioting and violent civil disturbances which have taken area over the last few years inside the U.S., and we are seeing the same boom in demand following the latest spate of mass shootings. Church Mutual, a main insurer of spiritual organizations in the United States, said it had visible a 1,015% upward thrust in inquiries round armed intruder and mass shootings and an boom in requests for services. Church Mutual has seen greater demand for its pull for police tool, which lets in a client to tug a tab, triggering a signal to law enforcement that there may be an armed intruder event. Church Mutual clients also include food banks and childcare centers. More exorbitant, the rate of an energetic shooter insurance coverage varies consistent with location, protection protocols and the gun laws of the country of residence, insurers say. Insurers are already charging colleges, healthcare establishments and retail establishments extra for canopy, and prices in popular are 5% to 10% higher than closing 12 months, mentioned Tariq Nagir, handling director, terrorism and political violence at coverage broker Marsh. However, the majority of companies do now not have coverage towards such assaults. The boom may want to get greater exorbitant if any of the institutions which could have had studies of energetic shooter losses or claims had insurance, Nagir said. Insurance customers said they want to argue tough to preserve a lid on costs. You can typically purpose to limit price will increase through thorough and pointed negotiations, and reminding underwriters that this is a competitive market, said Scott Feltham, organization coverage manager for catering group Compass.